Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Community Connection, where we connect you to really cool people and really cool things happening in the community. But as we've noted in the past, every really good podcast has meaningful banter. And so nothing thrills a boomer more than meaningful banter with a Gen Zer. So the Melvinator is Gen Z's ambassador to the boomers. Good morning, Melvinator.
Good morning. I have a very meaningful and important announcement for you this morning, Mr. Day.
Let's hear it.
I found my first white hair.
Okay.
Can you believe it?
Give me a break. Give me a break.
I did. It's up here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, let's take a photo of it next time and share it on social media.
We'll put it on Patrick Henry's story.
Hey, let me say something. We're always teasing you, right? But I want everybody to know Thursday night at our Impact event, I gave a speech. And I've gotten a lot of great reviews, compliments on the speech. And I need to give a shout out to the speech writer, which is Taylor.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes.
That was fun to collaborate with you on that.
It was.
Yeah.
So thank you. You did an excellent job, even with all those Oxford commas in it.
I love an Oxford comma.
Apparently so. That's probably what's turning your hair gray.
Probably. It's stressing me out.
Good morning, Nicolette.
Good morning, Mr.
It's
Day.
always good to have you in that seat. Claudia is off at a Care Portal conference. So thanks for sitting in again and bringing one of your hats.
Always.
Everything's matching, the shirt, the jacket. Looked like you came in on a Harley today.
I wish. That'd be fun.
Wouldn't that be
I
fun?
don't think people are going to believe it. We didn't coordinate again, but you've got
Here
the
we
gray
are.
and blue. I've
Here
got
we
the
go.
blue and gray. What are we
There
going to
go.
do?
Why don't you introduce us to our guest?
Yeah, it'd be my joy. So we have with us this morning Pastor Geraldo Alonso from Lynchburg Seventh-day Adventist Church. And Pastor is a wonderful father of two lovely children, 12, recently 12, almost 30, I hear, and a little 9-year-old. And his lovely wife is a doctor with Lynchburg Pediatrics. Welcome.
wow.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I appreciate the invite, and I love what you all do at Patrick Henry Family Services.
Cool.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you here this morning. You want to just jump right in?
Please.
Okay. So, Pastor, we met a couple of years ago at the gathering, and it was such a serendipitous is the word many people would use. I'd call it a divine appointment.
There you go.
We had a chance to have a real personal connection as I shared and he shared. We realized opportunity for some cool collaboration together. He was really desiring a chance to show his church, here's some ways you can plug in. And very quick order, we got connected and had a chance to share with his church. And it just continued to snowball in the best ways since then. Share a little bit from your perspective about how that experience went for you.
Sure. So for me, I've always wanted to share Jesus in real and tangible ways. And so I'd been searching for something that I could do to really plug into the community. And I think I at that point was 2 or 3 years into my current assignment. And I just wanted to do more. And so I found out about Patrick Henry Family Services, went to the gathering. You were there presenting, and it really impacted me to see how, oh, I can plug into this. Oh, my church can plug into this. Oh, there are things needed in the community. Oh, we can do that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about Patrick Henry Family Services is y'all remind us we don't need to invent the wheel. There's already a wheel there.
That's right.
We can just come in and support. And so as soon as that gathering was done, I ran up to you pretty much, and we started talking and sharing. And then my greatest joy from that meeting, no offense, it
That's
was
all
talking
right.
to you, but it was helping one of the other presenters
Yeah.
that had a need for childcare. Well, we had a daycare at the time, and I just asked, is there anything we can help? Any way we can help? Do you need childcare? I know you're taking over your grandson and another one's on the way. And is there any way we can help? And we were able to provide some support for that family.
That is so cool.
It really was.
I'd like to say something about what you said. Not to correct you, but
Sure.
to try to think about this in a different perspective when you said that there are ways that you as a church can plug into what we're doing. And what we want to do is try to reverse that. It's what you're doing. We want to support what you're doing because we believe in the local church, right?
Well,
That
thank
is
you.
that, right?
Thank you.
Right. We're a nonprofit and we're all believers here.
Right.
But we're not the local church.
Right.
The power's in the local church. That's what Jesus, right? He founded the church. It's his body is recognized, right, in a local congregation, and we got to get that body, right. And we were just talking previously. We need fewer professionals,
Right.
And more real people, and that's the church. So thank you for making that connection. So we're hoping that we can help you do more.
Well,
of
thank
what
you
God's
for
calling
rooting
guys to
for
do.
us because I've been rooting for you all along, and so it's really nice to know that is the focus, and y'all do it in such real and tangible ways.
Well, I think the more that we can build up the local body, right, the fewer nonprofits we would need. I mean, that would be
story.
the true story there. So, tell us quickly about your why. Why are you in this particular kind of ministry, leading a local congregation?
So, I grew up in church. Went to our tradition meets on Sabbath. So going to Sabbath school, plugging into church school, plugging into all the things that my church provided. I found Jesus to be very compelling. And from a very young age, I felt a call to ministry. But my why is rooted deeply in sharing that love that Jesus has given to me. One of the phrases that I use over and over again from the Bible is grace and peace. Grace and peace to you. And grace is just gift. Gift that we can't earn, don't deserve. And then peace comes from the Hebrew word shalom, which when you look at that word in a Bible word study, it's this idea of sin wrecked us, broke us apart, and shalom is bringing wholeness back into it. So my why is not to just do theological exercises, but provide avenues for making those theological ideas applicable to our lives.
Making them tangible.
Making them very tangible.
Yeah.
And so my why is to just plug in people to the goodness of Jesus and help them live that good news in their lives.
We talk a lot here about reconciliation, the ministry of reconciliation, and the message of reconciliation. Never thought about shalom would be kind of the settling of that reconciliation when it would be you're there. It's we've reached shalom, we've reached reconciliation. I love that. Yeah. Well, so are there other ways that the church and the care team's connected?
Yeah, so we have so many cool stories. I was trying to decide which ones to share. One of my favorites, though, started toward the beginning and has continued the last couple of years. When we went and presented at the church, one of the things we shared was the opportunity to host children, right? We like to keep children safe for temporary times. And there was this amazing couple who reached out the very next day, sent me a text message and said, hey, if we were 20 years younger, we would jump on this, but we're not. But with beautiful open hands, they said, this is what we do have to give. And it was the idea of firewood. They knew they had a surplus of firewood. They were happy to, take the fallen trees and cut them up and make them ready. And they said, if you ever come across, and within less than 10 days, we had a family that had a situation where they needed desperately firewood. So I reached back out and I said, thank you. Guess what? Your open hands have been met with a need. Let's figure this out. And then a month later, another family had the same need.
Is that right?
And that was 2 winters ago. Last winter, they did the same thing. And so their willingness to say, we want to do here, but we can't. But man, we have this, we could. That has been mirrored throughout the experience with Pastor Geraldo and his church, where it's this idea of showing up with authenticity to say, we have heart and desire. How can we connect with these families? And it's that. It's the connection piece. It's never felt sterile. It's never felt clinical. It's always been just very relational. And they continue to show up with curiosity to say, what else?
Wow.
That
is so cool. I something you said there, just instead of starting with a need and trying to find the answer, they started with
the answer.
They started with the answer. I've got a resource. And then the need met. I'd love to see more of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think something I've seen Pastor Geraldo do so well is he doesn't just preach the idea of living out with loving kindness. He does it, and then he calls people up and with him. So it's not this idea of watch me. It's this idea of come alongside. Let's do together. I think when I think of you, the word that comes to mind is advocate. You are one of the fiercest advocates I've ever met in the very best of ways. Do you think that's true?
I'm humbled. Yes, I never thought about it that way, but yeah, I try to advocate for people. In fact, I've been accused of being too much for people, which I don't understand what that means. But I very much
knock
believe in
it
helping
off.
people. I don't think I will. I don't think I will. And I've just been privileged to be at the church and school that I'm at. I'm at Lynchburg Seventh-day Adventist Church, as you mentioned, but we also have Desmond T. Doss Christian Academy, and our school has been one where our students have come to us as a last-ditch effort to get an education, and where they were not having success elsewhere for a multitude of reasons, bullying, learning disabilities, et cetera, et cetera. We've provided them a space where they can come in and be a part of a family. And usually within about 2 to 3 weeks, they just plug right in, and where they were failing elsewhere, they've been able to thrive with us.
Wonderful.
But a key piece to that is we're a private Christian school, and we turn nobody away based on need. And praise God, up to this date, we are debt-free, and God has always provided a way. And so we're constantly rooting for people and trying to provide a way to help them where they need it, you know.
I love that phrase you just used. We're constantly rooting for people. I think it speaks so authentically to the way that you and your congregation shows up. I have not encountered anyone in your congregation or an experience within your church where I perceived any amount of judgment. Not for other people who may look or act or sound differently, not for people outside of the church. One of the most amazing things was in the beginning when Pastor was sharing with me that the majority of the students and families who come to the school aren't churched. They don't come from a background of knowing the love of Christ. And there's zero judgment. You walk into the spaces there, and you just feel the love of Christ just permeating. And I can't help but smile thinking about what those students and those families must experience on a daily basis as they engage in that space.
Yeah. We're privileged to have a blank slate, if you will, and we get to paint a picture of Jesus for them. And we try to, in our actions, show them who Jesus is and how much Jesus loves them. And it's just because of what Jesus has done for us. Yeah.
So you said that you've always felt this kind of call early in your life. Did you always have the same perspective about people and this?
Yes and no.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I've always felt that it was my responsibility to model, what Jesus did for us. But if I'm honest and transparent with you,
Please.
For probably the first third of my career, I would just show up to work and preach and do the things I needed to do.
Okay.
But about, how long has it been now? Probably almost 10 years ago, I learned about discipleship in a new way that I had missed before. And the key definition there was you got to live in the world with people.
Oh, wow.
And if you're not willing to live in the world with people, there's no way you can connect with people authentically and in a real way. And so for me, it gave me permission to stop looking at being a pastor as a professional exercise, but a way of life.
Wow.
And so I really started, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but it's true. I used to try to find a place to live away from people so I could have a safe sanctuary place away from all the stress.
Yeah.
And I just thought, that's very hypocritical of me. And so when we moved here to Lynchburg, we couldn't find a home, so we decided to rent one of the lofts downtown. And as we were moving here, I started praying and taking that discipleship thing seriously. And I said, God, help me connect with people And the first thing I'm going to do, God, is try to learn the names of all my neighbors.
There you go.
So
Did you?
that's all
Yeah,
I
that
did.
did.
I just, hi, how are you? And just slowly but surely started connecting with people in real and tangible ways.
Yeah.
And
how'd that go over with those folks?
most people were standoffish at first, but then slowly but surely relationship.
Like, what are you getting at, or what's your angle?
Exactly.
Kind of thing? Yeah.
And then when they would hear that I'm a pastor, then it would be like, but I would never lead with that.
Yeah,
I would
sure.
always lead with just connection. And slowly but surely, whenever they had needs, I was able to provide spiritual care for them in a way that never would have happened had someone else just said, oh, well, we have a pastor in the building. Like, tragically, one of my neighbors, he died in a motorcycle accident. His parents had moved into the building not long before the accident, and I ended up being there for the family, supporting them and checking in with them.
If you hadn't had that relationship, that would have been a missed
happened.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Was it some kind of awakening that one day God said something to you that woke, or was it a gradual walking into this? This is what real ministry looks like.
I think the initial discipleship teaching was like a splash of cold water, but then the turning it into a practical thing, a lifestyle thing, was gradual.
Okay.
Trying to figure out, okay, I see this, God. I don't know how to do this. Show me how to do it. And slowly but surely, I was being shaped and transformed by the Spirit.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
And just trying to follow the Spirit's lead as much as I could.
Yeah. Well, I think we like programs in ministry. Churches adopt the program model because it keeps us at a distance. The program will meet this need, not me. I just run the program.
Well, programs are easy. People are hard.
That's right.
There you go.
And so we've got to get away from such a program mentality.
Right.
And that's why nonprofits are running programs, because the people part isn't happening, right? So we need to take a break real quick.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at one of our ministries here at Patrick Green Family Services called Hope for Tomorrow Counseling.
When I think about Hope for Tomorrow Counseling, I think about a place where people can come from any walk of life, any part of the community.
It's a counseling center that provides hope for families, for individuals, for children.
We are focused on clinical mental health, and we are planning on serving children and families so that children stay safe and families are strong.
We just meet people with a variety of needs. We strive to, make them know that we have a safe place for them to come to talk about whatever they need to talk about, have their needs met, and if we can't do everything for them, then we make sure that we're connecting them to the places and people that they need.
For someone who might come in and see me, and I guess a majority of our counselors, it's going to be for that new person an opportunity to really learn about what that counseling process is like what can you expect? What is my role as the counselor, and what is your role as the client?
You're starting a journey that's very new, and so we want to be very welcoming, very understanding, and meet people where they're at.
I want people to walk in the door and to feel like this is a safe place. This is a place where I'm gonna be heard.
It's a dialogue, it's a conversation, kind of what things are they looking for in counseling too.
There's nothing to be afraid of, but you're not going to see anybody until you see your counselor come out to greet you for the first time.
You come to Hope for Tomorrow Counseling, but there are so many things that we have direct connections to, so that if we aren't able to maybe meet the need directly with Hope for Tomorrow Counseling, we have like our care team, or we have like our camps team that we can really partner with. And I would make the case that we definitely want to be about those community partnerships. I mean, that directly ties into what we're doing as an organization.
We are respecting clients where they're at, whatever spiritual or religious beliefs that they have, and we're getting to know them and what's going to work best for them. Yes, we do have this foundation that we work from, but that is not going to influence or be pushed onto the client, because that's completely against code of ethics that we use. And so we're still working ethically, so that if a client wants to incorporate Christianity, we are here to do that. If they don't, then we absolutely respect that.
We're trauma informed, meaning that we're constantly retraining and getting more expertise in how to help with the trauma that people face.
In some ways, it's a mutual relationship. And just like any mutual relationship, there are different things that each individual are going to bring to that relationship. And so the counselor has a responsibility of walking the individual through the process of healing, of hope, of maybe drawing connections to some things they haven't seen before.
Counselors are very active in collaborating with their clients on what their goals are. So from the very beginning, we're talking about why are you here, what brings you here, and what are your goals? What do you want to gain from this experience, and how can I help you do that?
We help them with, getting comfortable with just settling down, just have conversation. We have comfortable offices that have nice couches and people can relax.
I'm all in on the vision. When I first interviewed and came here, that's where I wanted to be. My wife and I have the opportunity to adopt our daughter at birth. We got a foster son, and so the things that Patrick Henry and Hope for Tomorrow Counseling are about, coming alongside those families to provide the hope, healing, and restoration, that's where I want to be and what I want to be doing.
We carry out that mission in the way that we serve every child, every adult, every parent, every family, every marriage. That amazing quality is one of the biggest things that drew me as a counselor to Hope for Tomorrow.
We've created a space for not only us to be vulnerable with one another, but to really meet clients where they are. We offer opportunities for clients and individuals to really get help where so many other places create so many barriers to that.
When it comes down to the end of the day, are we making a decision that's going to promote the wellness of our clients, or is it going to harm? Because we never want to harm. We absolutely want to promote wellness in every action that we do. And so that kind of myriads all of our programs together, is that compassion is the key to a successful journey in counseling.
Nicolette, what I love about our counseling ministry is that we have some excellent practitioners, excellent counselors, but they're also just some marvelously wonderful people.
Yes,
right?
they are.
When you get to know them, you go, wow, these folks are deep water, I would say, right? There's something anointed about somebody that can sit in that space and, right, walk through that journey as you were talking about in that kind of a space. So if you ever been thinking about going to counseling, we encourage you to do that. It's a safe place with some good people who would meet you where you're at, and it's full of grace and love. So.
I think without a doubt. I think it's beautiful. You don't have to know their credentials. They're impressive.
Yeah, right.
They are. But they're real people who are going to connect with you and help you be seen. One of the things they said was, this is a safe place, a place where I know I'm going to be heard. And they show up with that compassion. But that phrase pulled out because I was thinking the same thing about your church body and the school and the ways that your church is impacting our community. People feel safe and feel like it's a place where they know they're going to be heard. They have a voice, right?
Yeah. And I will say a plug-in for your counseling, resource that you provide the community. I'm constantly inviting people to connect with them.
Good.
Because there's only so much we can do as a church in that space. I'm trained as a spiritual counselor, so I'm leading people to get resources that will help them. Yeah. And because we want that safe space, for people to heal and to grow and to thrive in whatever they're doing.
And isn't it a beautiful idea to see the different aspects of the ministry of reconciliation? That there's a place for the church to do the spiritual counseling. There's a place for a professional who might be able to help you walk through some trauma-based counseling, and neither needs to compete.
Right.
We get to do it together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, Pastor. I'm fascinated by your perspective on ministry and what your church is doing. How did you get the church to walk in that same thing, right? It's not happening everywhere.
No.
Because they've got to be shepherded to do this, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that.
So I think it started with my call to this congregation. We had 3 different institutions going in 3 different directions. And when I was hired for this position, I was encouraged to help the church pick a direction and go in the same direction. Easier said than done. Essentially, we changed our culture, and I'll be honest with you, it was kind of traumatic for us. Nobody likes to air dirty laundry, but we did have a church split. The pandemic made things come to a head. Everything was worse because of 2020.
Yep.
And so we've had some significant challenges. We lost people and all of that. We're trying to heal through that.
Okay.
And in the healing process, we're trying to just stick to Jesus as closely as we can and look at those principles that Jesus advocated for and live them out in real and tangible ways in our congregation. Like our current mission statement is this: we believe in sharing the good news of Jesus, but we also believe in helping people live that good news in their lives. So trying to cover that orthodoxy and orthopraxy, so like right thinking, but also doing the things of Jesus, so.
Changing culture is hard.
It's very hard.
In a nonprofit, in a church, in a family. I mean, when we think about counseling, we think about what we're trying to do with families, often we're trying to change culture.
Yeah.
Whether it's parenting class, all those things, right? You're trying to change the way we think and live.
Right.
And that's hard.
It is.
For people to go through that journey.
Yeah.
So what's kept you going through all of the difficulty and the mess of ministry?
Yeah. Jesus and therapy.
All right.
Jesus and therapy.
Honest answer.
I just find that message of Jesus so compelling through all the hardships, all the pain.
Showed the commercial, but thank you for that.
Yeah, it just kind of worked out.
Right. Right. None of us should feel like we're above or beyond the need for help in that way, should we?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
We can't help vulnerable people if we ourselves aren't going to step in that space and say, work on me too.
Yep.
Right. So good.
I think there's a beautiful picture that draws for people who are watching you, because that's the truth about being a pastor or a leader of any kind. There are people watching. And I think when they watch, sometimes they're trying to catch us, and other times they're trying to catch on. And I think when you live authentically what you're describing, there's nothing to be caught except to catch on and to follow. And that is really compelling. That's really appealing, to have a pastor or a leader who's willing to say, here's that orthodoxy, here's the practice, and we're going to marry these two into real authentic steps together. And I think it marries real well with what you said earlier, Mr. Day, that the programmatic piece is what we do as nonprofits, but it's the people behind it. Because how you show up is absolutely translated into the experience of every client family who walks through the door. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with someone locally who wanted to process the difference between traditional case management and a particular service that the family care team provides. And through the conversation, you could see moments of, that's what makes it different. But each time it was the people we were talking about. And it was this idea that because real people are showing up to do the work who are connected to real people outside of the work, it's the real people that's the difference. It's the connection, the meaningful relationship, this idea that we're going to pursue together that ministry of reconciliation. And it's so far outside of a programmatic standard, but it still falls within the program we happen to provide. So,
well, pastors, we wrap up. You get to look at the camera and make an appeal, invite folks to your church, to any of the ministry opportunities. It's your call.
Well, thank you. So as we've been talking, I'm a pastor at the Lynchburg Seventh-day Adventist Church. I also help at Desmond T. Doss Christian Academy. And if you want to connect with us, we'd be more than privileged to support you in any way that we can. But one thing that we would solicit is your prayers, specifically for our school, where our principal is stepping down, going on to another opportunity, and we would love for you all to pray for our school as we try to find the right administrator that will help us continue the path of helping people in real and tangible ways.
Wonderful. Thank you, Pastor.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And thank you, Nicolette.
Always a joy.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next Thursday on Community Connection.
Nobody gets to choose their family. If a person is fortunate enough to be born into a healthy family, then life can be much like floating down a smooth, gentle river in the summertime. But an unhealthy family is like a dangerous river, filled with rocks, debris, and fast-moving water. This river swiftly leads to the steep waterfall of adulthood, tragically forming a new river of dysfunction. Even if you aren't born into an unhealthy river, there are many streams that cause a person to get there. But there is only one way to get out, and that is through a meaningful relationship. Across our region, there are many agencies, churches, and families who are devoted to helping children escape from unhealthy rivers. Some feel their role is to wade in and rescue children. They foster, adopt, or provide safe families. Others stand by the river and support the rescuers by providing what they need. Still, others are upstream and stand in the gap to keep children from ending up in the negative situations. At Patrick Henry Family Services, we see ourselves as having an additional role. We are running up and down the shores of the unhealthy river, screaming, "Can't you see the children in the water? You have to do something." Vision 30 is a 10-year initiative. By 2030, we envision a region where all children are safe in their own family, or with caregivers who are supported by a local faith community. So, where do you stand at the river? Are you upstream, keeping families together and strong by standing in the gap? Are you in the river, directly impacting children? Are you on the shore, providing support for the brave folks who have entered the river? Or are you just passing by without noticing? No matter who you are, come down to the river with us. Let us help you find your place. Not only will lives be changed, but you will never be the same.